She said she belonged to someone else. But her eyes belonged to me. I'd spent years convincing myself she was gone. That night, in the soft amber glow of a rooftop bar overlooking Manhattan, all of that came crashing down. Because there she was, Elena Carter. The woman who had once been my everything, standing across the room in a sapphire dress that shimmered with every breath she took. Her laughter carried over the music, light and dangerous, and for the first time in years, I felt alive and wrecked all at once. And then I saw it. The diamond ring on her finger. The shock. I should have walked away. Should have turned around before she saw me. But I didn't. Her eyes lifted, finding mine across the crowded rooftop, and for a moment, just a fleeting second, the air between us froze. Elena. The woman I had loved with a fire so fierce it left scars. The woman I lost because life, timing, and mistakes had conspired against us. And now she was wearing another man's ring. When she finally walked toward me, each step was deliberate, her eyes locked on mine. My heart pounded like it remembered everything we'd once been. Daniel, she said softly when she reached me, her lips curving into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Elena. My voice came out rougher than I intended. It's been a long time. 5 years, she whispered. But who's counting? I forced a smile, though my chest ached. Seems like you've moved on. Her hand twitched against the champagne glass she held, her ring catching the light. I belong to someone else now. But then her eyes met mine. Raw. Burning. Unmistakable. And in that moment, I knew she was lying. Because no matter what her lips said, her eyes still belonged to me. The pull. We tried to keep it polite. We tried to talk like two people who had history but nothing more. But every word we exchanged was laced with unspoken memories, every glance a reminder of nights that had once consumed us. When she laughed at something I said, her hand brushed mine lightly. Too lightly. Like she knew she shouldn't but couldn't resist. And when the rooftop lights dimmed for the late-night crowd, she leaned closer, her perfume wrapping around me like a ghost I thought I'd buried. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Like what? Like I still belong to you. I swallowed hard. Because maybe you do. Her breath hitched, her eyes darting away before settling back on me with a heat that could melt steel. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. But she didn't walk away. The fall. It was after midnight when we slipped out together. Neither of us said where we were going. Neither of us needed to. By the time we reached my apartment, the tension between us was unbearable. The moment the door shut, her lips were on mine. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't polite. It was desperate. Hungry. 5 years of longing crashing into one kiss that stole every ounce of reason I had left. Her hands tangled in my hair as I pressed her against the wall, my mouth devouring hers, her moan vibrating against my lips. Daniel, she gasped, her nails digging into my back. This is wrong. I kissed down her neck, biting softly at the spot that made her tremble. Then stop me. But she didn't. Her dress slipped off her shoulder, then her waist, pulling at her feet as I lifted her into my arms. She clung to me, kissing me like she'd been starving for years, like she'd never let go again. We stumbled into the bedroom, shedding clothes like sins, until there was nothing left between us but bare skin and 5 years of unspoken desire. Bold passion. The night was fire. Every kiss, every touch, every gasp was an explosion of need. I traced every inch of her body like it was mine to claim again, and she gave herself to me with a desperation that matched my own. Tell me I still own you, I whispered against her lips. Her eyes locked with mine, wild and burning. You always did. And with that, we lost ourselves, again and again, our bodies tangled, our voices echoing in the dark. She was fire and silk, sin and salvation. And no matter how many times I told myself she belonged to someone else, I couldn't stop. Because in those hours, she belonged only to me. The morning. When dawn crept in, she lay curled against me, her hair spread across my chest, her breathing soft and uneven. I should have felt guilt. Regret. Something other than the fierce protectiveness that burned in my chest. She stirred, her fingers tracing lazy circles on my skin. "We can't do this," she whispered. "Then tell me you don't want me," I said, my voice low. Her silence was the answer. "Finally," she whispered, "I told you, I belong to someone else." I tilted her chin, forcing her to meet my gaze. "Then why do your eyes still belong to me?" Tears glistened, but she didn't look away. Because she knew. We both did. The truth. Days turned into stolen nights. She went back to him during the day, but every chance she had, she came to me. Our love was a secret, forbidden and dangerous, but it burned hotter than anything I'd ever known. One night, after hours of fire and whispered promises, she broke. "I was supposed to marry him to save my family," she confessed. "It was never love. It was duty. But with you, it's always been love." Her voice cracked, and I held her tighter, realizing the truth I'd always known. She never stopped being mine. The second chance. Love doesn't follow rules. It doesn't care about rings or promises made out of obligation. She said she belonged to someone else. But her eyes, her touch, her heart, every part of her screamed otherwise. And as I kissed her again, tasting both fire and tears, I knew one thing with certainty. I would fight for her. Because in the end, no matter what the world said,